Guys, Jeremy with 11 Bravo Woodworks, and I wanted to, just because there's some requests and things, take everybody around a tour of my shop. It really isn't too crazy. Got some borrowed tools, some that I'll probably upgrade at some point in time, but it's kind of what I'm working with right now to kick out some of the projects that I'm doing. And got to tell you, just so everybody knows, I've been a little inundated, and I say inundated because for me, working a full-time job and family obligations and things like that, having between 6 and 10 projects on deck is a lot, because I'm not super fast at this yet, but hopefully having these tools now will actually kind of help me get some of this stuff done. So I'll take you around and just kind of not necessarily demonstrate. We'll talk through kind of what each one of these things does. I don't know how helpful this is going to be for some folks because I'm kind of just a beginner, and so I totally feel not even remotely adequate to be doing something like this. But there's some guys out there I definitely recommend you checking out. So check out the Wood Whisperer. There's also Jay Bates, as well as a gal named April Wilkerson, and then another guy named Nick Ferry. Those are the people that are kind of my go-tos when I'm doing some of this, that have been a huge help in the videos that they've done, and so I guess I'm just trying to kind of use some of what they've taught me in some of the projects that I'm doing. So definitely check those guys out. I'll throw some links. I'm going to try and do that link thing here in the video, and maybe we can, do one of those pointy deals like some folks do. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, so, yeah, I'll just take you guys around, just kind of what I've got going on, so pardon the mess, and we'll go from there.
So first thing I want everybody to realize is that I do operate in a garage shop, and so there's the door to the house, there's my source of heat, so my bench is pretty messy at the moment. So it's just kind of the way that it goes. I've got my wood not even remotely organized, except for that's my cutoff stack. I don't know what I'm going to do with half of it, but there's it there. I've got a bunch of cedar planks right there that I'm going to be using for a build. I've got this old door. Going to figure something out to do with it. There's actually 2 of them there. So we'll just kind of work our way around. This is the first tool that I got, actually. So this is a 12-inch sliding compound miter saw. And so a couple of things that I did with this is I took a little bit of inspiration from April Wilkerson and the cabinet that she made, and I've got a cabinet here. Now, it's not nearly as nice, well put together. It's actually a bit rickety, but it's holding the saw. So a couple of things that I did to kind of make this a little bit better. So this is a Harbor Freight saw, Chicago Electric. Now here's the deal. I got this for a really good price. It was probably, I don't know, $130 when I got it. And some of these high-end saws, like your DeWalt or your Bosch, that can do some of the same things, those are $500, $600, $700 saws. And I just didn't have that because I was just doing some projects around the house before I got kind of crazy into this thing. So it's a good saw. It cuts straight, and a couple of things that I did to kind of aid in all of that. The first thing that I did was I upgraded the blade. I've been really sold on these Diablo blades, and so I put a nice blade on it. That helped out a ton because initially it just wasn't making great cuts. The other thing that I did is I did a zero clearance insert. I'm probably going to need to redo this here in the not too distant future because this is getting a little less zero clearancy. I put some storage down on the bottom for a couple of things, compressor, odds and ends. Sometimes it catches cutoffs. The other thing that I did is I kind of extended this wing here so it's in line with the fence, and I can set up stop blocks and things of that nature on that side so I can make quick repetitive cuts for some of the projects that I'm doing. So that was my first tool. It's also coincidentally probably the first thing that's going to get upgraded here in the not too distant future, but it's getting the job done, and you really can't ask for less. This little guy I just borrowed from a friend tonight, but I am going to get one of my own at some point in time. This is a thickness planer. And so the goal with this, if you're not familiar, is you can raise and lower this deck, and the goal is to achieve an equal thickness throughout the workpiece. And so this makes a huge mess. This one is extremely loud, but again, this is another Harbor Freight special. But again, you know, I'm not paying for it right now, so I really can't be too picky. And it's getting the job done. I just ran a piece of maple through it a couple of times, and it's working really well. But goodness, this thing makes an absolute mess. There's literally no dust collection whatsoever with this particular model, but some of the ones that I've got my eye on definitely will get the job done. So coming around here, this is my new Rikon 10-inch bandsaw. First bandsaw that I bought. Actually fired it up for the first time today, and really happy with it. It was cutting what I needed to cut, and I think it's a definite upgrade from using the jigsaw to make some of the curve cuts and a few of the other things that I do with some of my projects. But that's been a lot of fun. At some point, I would like to get a freestanding one. You know, but again, a lot of this is going to come down to cost and space and what have you. So this is another borrowed borrowed tool. This is my my jointer, and the purpose of this tool is to create perpendicular edges of two faces. So you run an edge on it, lay it down, run that edge you just ran across that fence, and what you're hoping to get is 90 degrees between two edges. Then you come over to the thickness planer, get it to the thickness that you want, run it past the table saw, and now you have four edges on a piece of stock that are 90 degrees, and everything's parallel as it should be. So this is a great little tool. This is another one of those where I'm borrowing it, and so I'm really grateful to have it. But I've got my eye on one that's made by Ridgid. That's a good price for what I've seen and what my use is going to be for it. And so I'm probably going to, at some point in time when I have to give this up, be looking at the Ridgid saw, or joiner. So this is kind of my beast, my workhorse, and I got to tell you, really happy with this saw. So I wanted, when I originally was looking at a table saw, I was looking at a lot of contractor saws. There's full-blown cabinet saws. Some of you guys might be familiar with SawStop and some of those folks. Gosh, they were so expensive. And last year, I saw a deal on this at a local store, and I really couldn't pass it up. It's a bit of a hybrid cabinet saw, and so it'll cut, 30 inches right of the blade, and then 15 to the left. I mean, that's a ton of space, guys. Your typical sheet of plywood, if I wanted to rip it right down the middle, is only 28 inches. And so it's absolutely amazing. It has, you can dial this thing in. It is just a champ. And again, did a couple of little things to it, put in a zero clearance insert. This has been fantastic. Got a nice Diablo blade on there right now. But great solid saw. Only gripe is the fence. It's a bit finicky, and so it's not like a Beastmeyer or one of these other, a Delta sort of fence. I would really like to not have to fidget with it as much as I do. But at the same time, I don't have the money right now to throw down on a Beastmeyer fence or something along those lines. And so while I will eventually probably upgrade the fence on this because everything else is stellar, it's just not where I need it to be at the moment. But great saw, cuts what I need to cut. I really am very happy with it. So a couple other things that I ultimately want to see in my shop. Let's go back to over here. Sorry, guys. So
ultimately what I want to see is, I want to get a drill press, and I'd also like to pick up a couple of different sanders. A drum sander would be a dream, but those things are a fortune. Just, you know, like a belt and disc sander would be fantastic. I do want to get a router table. There's a really nice insert that goes into the wing here that's cast iron, and again, it's money. So there's that, but it is really just absolutely fantastic, and with some of the different things that you can do with that router table. But drill press would be super nice. But other than that, I mean, this is kind of it. You know, just a quick run around. Not a whole heck of a lot going on, but this is kind of what I have to do. I kicked the wife's van out of the garage for a little while, make a bunch of sawdust, clean it up, and then she gets her garage back. So the hope is that you know, maybe we get a new place and I no longer have to kind of fight for space, and I can get everything set up and just kind of leave it alone. But right now, I got to pull everything out, do what I need to do, put it back, and that's kind of the way that it is. But hey, thanks for taking a look. Hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment. You can head over to my Facebook page. It's 11B Woodworks. You can search that, or 11 Bravo Woodworks. I'm sure it'll pull up. Send me a note. But hey, you know, I'm just trying to get this thing started. So if you want to share this channel, subscribe, so you can get notifications when these sort of things come out. It would be fantastic. And you know, if this inspires you for whatever reason to kind of get into something like this, great. If you're in the St. Louis area and you want to come over and hang out and use some of this stuff, by all means, you know, we can set up a time when I've got everything set up and come over and, you know, we'll make some sawdust. So that's all I got, folks.